Don't have anything to say tonight. I just want to go to bed. Just want to go to bed. But I wrote down some things earlier, so I figured. Oh, right. Humans don't like to think. Huh. Um, if somebody is trying to understand something, they'll say, help frame this problem for me. Help me see where you're coming from. Tell me what the issue is here. In other words, like I don't think like in general. I want you to manufacture a problem for me that I can try to solve by untying a string or something. Give me a formula, like give me a little puzzle that I can work out. I'll help you work it out. That's if they're being genuine. If they're not being genuine, they don't care to understand. They'll probably say something like, "Look, all I understand is, look, all I know is," and then they'll give you some knowledge that doesn't fit with the situation. Um, my only thought for those things is that humans don't like to think. We don't like to think. Um, we don't like to scope out. If we are thinking about something, we'd like it to be broken down into digestible chunks. And if we are engaging, uh, albeit disingenuously, we'll probably try to apply some solution that doesn't fit, and we'll acknowledge the fact that it doesn't fit by putting a disclaimer in front of it, like, "Look, all I know is." I guess I was, energetic earlier when I was writing this down. Um, Neither makes an attempt at trying to see the big picture, the problem, life, goals, solutions, situations. Me earlier was felt very strongly about this, I guess. I wrote, Solomon might say, "Look, all I know is you got to start cutting up babies. Uh, look, all I know is you start cutting up babies, you're going to find out who the mama is." Solomon, what? Okay, so, like you take some solution that works in some case, or has had worked in some case, and you just say it as a general statement. Okay, so just cut up babies always. That's your answer. Um, and then at the bottom, think, think. Humans hate thinking. Oh, look, that's you. That's you. That's you there. You're looking at me. That's you looking at me. That's your eyeball. Isn't that interesting? Um, and I don't know. The We've learned that the human brain does pretty good at math problems or breaking down, sentence structure. We're good at simple puzzles. We're good at task-oriented thinking, and that's what we've been trained to, you know, excel at and understand that we excel at. If you give me a formula and you give me an equation to solve, I can solve it. Or if you, give me a item to be worked and the way in which it's supposed to be worked, then I can do those things. I can execute to instructions. Um, that's how we view our intelligence, is the ability to execute to instructions. Um, but that's not that's not what our this does. This does more than that. This sets goals. It it understands its environment. It perceives inefficiencies in its environment. It perceives problems. It experiences problems. It experiences pain. It experiences neglect and trauma. It experiences longing, and it seeks meaning for those. It tries to understand what the origin point of those feelings are, and it experiences happiness and euphoria, and it tries to seek the origin of those feelings. And and we don't often take that part of our brain and put it through all of its paces and bringing it down to the area that can solve problems. Um, if I'm experiencing some sort of burden, um, I try to alleviate that experience uh, by medicating it in so many ways, either physically or chemically or philosophically. Philosophically medicating the burden that I experience. That's the thing that we do. That's what we do with burdens that we feel. We philosophically medicate them so that they'll go away. We don't acknowledge them as being things that exist out there in the world, and we don't try to pursue ways to correct them. Better, more than that, we don't even try to conceive of what they might actually be, what those burdens might actually be, let alone seek to correct them. If you have something standing on your throat, you don't even often try very hard to acknowledge or understand what the thing is that's standing on you. You just say, "Oh, I don't like this experience. I should think about it in a different way," to relieve the personal burden that I have with respect to my experience. Um, life is life is going to be one thing or another, and it'll be whatever the sum of our inputs are to it. We're all moving this Ouija board together, so it would be beneficial for everyone to think about the experiences they have and the experiences that other people have, and try to understand what that says about the world. And by the way, you probably won't get there on your own. You'll need to read. You'll need to study. You'll need to look and see what other people said about their philosophies and what they thought was and what they thought should be. And then you should look to history and see what really was for peoples throughout history, and why it was, and what they tried to make it, and what it ended up being. And then you'll start to see trends and patterns. And you should have a desire with respect to the world somehow. And that desire should have something to do with a desired experience that people should have. Um, for instance, you might say that there should not be children in slavery around the world. There should not be um, anyone in a role where they're physically abused and and forced into some traumatic lifestyle that they don't get a part in shaping. And if those are the things that you believe, then then that gives you an opportunity to well, I guess, do you start off by saying this is the thing that I believe should or shouldn't be, or do you start by going out in the world and seeing what is? I guess it would make a lot more sense to first start with reality, right? Like, first experience something. First try to figure out what is. Look at what other people are reporting their experiences as. Look at what other experiences of people might have been throughout history. Look at what your personal experience has been. Listen to the people around you who are talking to you about what their experiences are. Try to get an understanding of what actually is. What is in terms of human experience? What is? And then what should be. If you don't start with what is, then what should be part is kind of meaningless, right? So what is, get a good grasp on that, and what should be, is going to be a in part based on your experience and what you would have rather experienced, and what other people have experienced, and what they would have rather experienced, and what the major causes were for the negative experiences that they've had throughout their life, and then hypothesize a better way. Hypothesize, what were some high points for people? What are some of the best things that we can get out of this life? What are some of the good experiences that I've had? Compare and contrast those to the origins of the bad experiences. Um, this is all very experiential, and I mean, I have that is my perspective. My perspective is an experiential one. Um, I believe that good and bad, uh, in terms of what should or shouldn't be done, what should be fixed, and what should be championed, is dependent on it depends on what sort of experience we want for humans, for humanity. And I base that on my professional perspective as a user experience designer. I want the world to work for people. And we are all co-developing this together. It's not some of us are users and some of us are developers. We're all, I mean, that makes sense to me as a game developer, that some people design the experience and other people live it. But this isn't, I don't feel like that's ideal. I feel like in the real world, we all co-develop, and we all co-experience. Uh, to allocate some as designers and some as developers and some as users paints a bad picture about what humanity is about. We all shape it together and we all experience it together. So these user stories that we trade back and forth are all have equal merit, and all have to be acknowledged. And we have to come up with a way to articulate those demographics and those personas as we try to shape something that works for everybody, as we try to collectively and collaboratively shape something that works for everybody. Where was that? I don't remember what I was talking about. I was talking about an experiential view of the world. Yeah, good and bad is in the in the experience. I just want to make sure that nobody has a bad experience. I'm kind of talking nonsense tonight. I feel like if I stayed at this for a little while, I'd probably come to a a quote or something that I might appreciate sometime in the future. But I'm tired, and I don't feel, I feel sorry for anybody who's trying to elicit some meaning out of the nonsense that's coming out of my mouth. But anyway, I feel like I did my due diligence tonight in talking a bit. I feel like I had some sort of GameStop thought today. I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was just a question that I want to try to evaluate and answer and see what other people's answers are. Did something actually happen? Was GameStop an actual event? The stock thing. Did average people actually influence something? Because it doesn't matter what the outcome was if the precedent stands that people in groups did something. I don't think that I so much support the idea of just anybody going into the stock market and popping bubbles. The stock market is where the profit that comes out of businesses goes and then takes on a life of its own, being manipulated and extracted by unseen forces. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the right means of wealth distribution is for all people to be equally vested in all shares, all stocks, right? Maybe the more appropriate way to do it, based on traditional theory, would be that, okay, we have a collective entity that that dues get paid into by those who work for some sort of corporation or conglomerate, some sort of private entity that's publicly traded, and that the dues that go, the salary that goes into that collective gets reinvested in the as a controlling member of the shares in a company, and because everybody's in the company is invested in that collective, and because that collective invests in the company on behalf of everybody, then if there's some sort of democratic mechanism in place for that collective that's representing those folks, then what you end up having is you end up having the people who work for the company making decisions for what's good for the company, which seems logical. I think that these are a bunch of people who are yearning together. I mentioned yesterday that the majority of your impact on the planet is going to be the thing that you do 8 hours a day, at least 40 hours a week, at least for the majority of your life, several decades at least. those people are doing a lot in favor of that organization under that banner, or brand, and they they're investing themselves. They seem to have a stake in whether or not that entity succeeds, and should treat them like it. Um, hmm. I don't know. Though this is me sharing a perspective that maybe again, based on existing theory, I don't know that it is 100%. I haven't thought it all the way through. I just know that it would be nice if there was some sort of mechanism that would allow the average person to participate in this realm of profits. And if people can just go in and go whaling on their own in a group, then maybe if they did it with some degree of organization, uh, it would be more appropriate. And I don't necessarily mean just going in and messing things up and breaking things. What I mean is having a presence in investing, having a presence, being a part of it, not going in and breaking somebody else's stuff, it becoming their stuff. I'm talking about like becoming a part of the system, but buying land there, moving in. But is it something that's for the entire nation, everybody? Like in the network movie, all own a share of stock. Is it that everybody, the profits in the stock market raise all boats equally, or is it the work that you do, the work that your team does, the work that you are a part of, um, is reflects back on your material success, and you help steer that ship. I think it's more um, what people think of when they think of um, extreme left uh, conceptualizations of the state, that everybody gets one. Like everybody gets one equally. Everybody owns 1/300 millionth of a share in each company that exists. Okay. But I think that it's more in line with like actual theory that no, it's not that you just get whatever, it's just like everybody else. It's that you profit from the things that you are a part of improving, and that would be more of the union owning the shares as opposed to the state owning the shares. Um, I don't think it makes sense for folks to just conduct asymmetric warfare on the stock market, which to some degree Wall Street Bets was just out of necessity because nothing like that had ever happened. So everybody just jumped on board to see what would happen. Um, I don't see that as being a virtuous or a sustainable endeavor, but it does give rise to the concept of collective action and what therefore is the purpose and benefit of collective action in the stock market, in investments, equities. Um, because apparently there apparently is a model there of some kind. If something happened, it could have been just sensational news. Who knows? Who knows why the line did what it did, right? Somebody does. Many people have beliefs about it, but I'm not gonna sit in front of a computer and read that kind of stuff constantly. Although I've read enough now that I just keep getting more article recommendations about like investments, and it's like, oh my gosh, do people read this stuff? Like, kind of opens my eyes to a whole new world of garbage I didn't even realize was there. Like the article earlier today saying, mysterious investor who divested $9 million from ETFs in early December apparently returned their money because another $9 billion was reinvested in those ETFs in January. Don't know what this is about, but we can probably assume that it had something to do with this individual not wanting to pay taxes. It's like, is this what investment news is like? Like, is this what I've missed? Oh, like I thought I was seeing too much looking through history. I would hate to know what would happen if most of my friends actually read Business Insider or Forbes on a regular basis. They'd probably be even more bonkers militant. Um, hmm. I'm tired. I think I need to go to bed. Uh, this is going to be a fun one to look back on because I don't actually know if I've constructed a complete sentence in the entire time that I've been talking. All right. Have a good one, everybody, and I will bring the eloquence on another day. All right. Bye.